Well, let's go ahead and get started. It's 3:02. So you are in a session for the wonderful Design Week. This is being presented by San Diego City College Graphic Design. And the topic here today is how we make our students look magical online. So you have some really cool stuff to share with you today. We're going to keep this really casual. So you're welcome to ask questions in chat or use the Q&A feature. We'll probably respond to those at the end, but don't be afraid to comment along the way or throw your questions in as they come up. My name is Sean Bacon. I am a full-time faculty member at San Diego City College, and I direct the graphic design program. And I'm here with some wonderful guests, some of my colleagues and former students that I'd like to introduce as well. The first would be Bradford Prairie. He's another full-time faculty member in the graphic design program. And he also helps run the program, but also teaches portfolio with me. The two of us run our portfolio class and collaborated extensively on the work that we're going to show today. We also have an alum, Hannah Yu. She's from the 2020 portfolio class, and she is the one who masterminded and concepted the work that you're going to see today, and she'll share a little bit about her process for developing the concept and the visual direction that we developed for this mini site. Then we have some other students from the 2021 portfolio class, so more alums, recent alums that are here. We have Myra Favela and Fanny Homan, who are here from the content organization group, which I'll talk about in a minute. They're going to talk about the process of kind of wrangling and organizing all of the content. And then we also have Jamie Wright and Luke Meyer, who were on a copywriting team that helped assist Hannah, Bradford, and I in doing any extra copywriting that was needed throughout this project. But I thought a good place to start on this would be to talk a little bit about City College graphic design. I know we have a lot of people from City in the room. I'm happy to see all of you, but I know some of you maybe aren't familiar with our program. And I thought maybe creating a little bit of a baseline for everyone would be a good place to start. So San Diego City College graphic design is an award-winning program located in San Diego City College, which is downtown in the East Village. It's one of the 3 community colleges in the San Diego Community College District. We're an open access institution, which is something we're really proud of. Anyone can join our classes. Anyone can join our program. There are no prerequisites, requirements, or applications needed to become a part of our program. And that's really important to us. We're also very low cost. We have a high value for being an award-winning program, which is something that, again, is important for us to help give access to design education to people who might not be able to access it in other ways. We're very industry focused. We really like to work with industry. The ties we have to industry are important to us. They're what allow us to make sure that the curriculum we're teaching, the things that happen in our classroom are really cutting edge and are really what's needed to be successful in the industry, because most of our students are here to gain a vocational education. We do have students who prefer or are interested in transferring to four-year universities as well, but we're lucky enough to realize sort of by accident that by focusing on creating industry-ready portfolios, not only were we helping our largest population of people who are interested in going out into the workplace, but also we were creating better transfer candidates that were transferring to, really high-end design institutions on scholarship often, which was just a win-win. So our goal is really to train people in our program to hit the ground running and get great jobs in our design industry. Our focus is really on design and strategy. We're really about the why behind design. It doesn't mean we don't teach software and aesthetics, but what we really care about is the thinking behind what we do. We feel that's the most important skill we can teach our students. So students who are in our more traditional graphic design pathway, but also our interaction pathway, both really focus on the why behind design. We feel that is what's really important. And through this open access and industry-focused education, we also feel that we're on a mission to really bring diverse voices to the field of design. As we look at solving, creating representation in our industry, solving diversity problems within our design industry, we feel that an open access institution that's high value is a really important part of that puzzle as we look at solving it. And it's something that we're proud of, because what we really work on is a mentorship type approach. We work with students individually, so we're really tailoring our curriculum and our program to meet their specific needs. And that means that we work hands-on with students. We support our students through the entire program. And these are examples of some of the work of our students. So you'll see quickly the high quality work. We want industry standard work, things that look like professional projects. They have a wide range of things that are focused on because we want to meet students where they are. Our students have different goals, different ambitions, different things that they want to solve. And we want to help them build a portfolio of work that will achieve that goal. And that's really what we're known for. We're really known for our portfolio program. It's a year-long program that is run by Bradford and I, and we work with anywhere from 30 to 40 students a year to polish their work and target it towards what their goals are that they would like to achieve after they leave our program. So for us, the support that we work with on students is at the forefront of what we do. Our program is really built on a lot of love and care. And that became an interesting conundrum for us as we entered the challenge of COVID-19 or the pandemic. So in March of 2020, we were abruptly pulled off campus. Our campus was closed. Our students were asked to no longer return to work from home, which was challenging. We have amazing facilities. We have amazing equipment that our students have access to that's important to their success. And we had to kind of make it work. And I think this challenge led to a lot of innovation for us. I'm a big believer in that silver lining. And I think the story we'll tell today is really maybe a positive story that came from COVID. And I'm proud of that because I know a lot of the stories related to COVID, unfortunately, are not as positive. So as we support our graduates and we help people get into industry and bridge the gap between education and getting that first job, traditionally, we've really worked in-person events. We've really worked extensively to create opportunities for our students to showcase their work, to interact and network with professionals, but suddenly those opportunities were taken away from us. And I have to give a lot of credit to the class of 2020 who really pushed us to find a way to support them during a really difficult time. Jobs were scarce. It was a difficult experience to be pulled off campus. And so it really made Bradford and I have to wonder, what could we do? How could we support students? How could we give that mentorship and love back for all of the hard work and amazing projects that were produced during that portfolio year? So we had some limitations. We realized quickly that it would need to be some kind of a virtual experience. It would need to be something that happened in a remote modality. It didn't seem possible for us to have any kind of in-person component to what we did. So that kind of locked into some constraints of that this would need to be some kind of a website or interactive experience. So Bradford and I met together and had some conversations about what was possible and decided that we wanted to create a really cool website. So we worked with an alum from the 2019 portfolio year, Matthew Hawes, and produced what you're seeing here. This was the initial, very first portfolio mini site from San Diego City College Graphic Design. The entire theme was around this idea of you're not found. So we told Matt the story of what had happened, and he really came back to us with these ideas of this almost missing portfolio year. We felt it was important to tell the story authentically. We didn't want to sugarcoat it, but we also didn't want it to be all gloom and doom. So again, you're not found. The entire thing was about glitching, 404 error messages, kind of all of those technical errors that happen in a digital landscape, but tried to present it in a really positive way. So you'll notice that we featured every single one of our students who wanted to participate. There's images of their work, links to their websites. And we also did an extensive social media rollout for this as well, where we teased the website and then ultimately promoted each of our students. And this was wildly successful. People contacted us from all over the country saying how interesting this site was. It was an award-winning website and something that we were really proud of. Bradford and I really enjoyed working on this because it was such a conceptual storytelling driven process that was really cool. And that was our goal, was to make something that was engaging, interactive, push the boundaries a little bit of what we traditionally see on the web, and something that did justice to the hard work that our students have done. And so this really kicked off this experiment in what has now become a tradition. So this one was mostly done with Bradford, myself, and Matthew Hawes. But we realized that when we wanted to approach this for 2021, we really were interested in opening this up a little bit. So we did a debrief of how 2020 went, talked about things that were successful, things that maybe we wanted to do differently. And we decided to stick with our plan that we had originally, which was to tap an alum. So we went to Hannah Yu, who's here today from the 2020 portfolio class, kind of explained a little bit of what the story of the 2021 portfolio group was, and then gave her some room to concept and come up with ideas of how we could approach this. But we also wanted to include more collaboration. We wanted to get the students involved as well from the 2021 portfolio class. So for us, that was about opening up our processes, allowing more learning to happen, allowing them to take some ownership of this website that really represents them. So we built teams. So there were different teams. Some of them are represented here today, who will be talking a little bit about that process. But there was a photography team who really worked in Photoshop and helped make sure that all of the images that we had were to correct specs. They helped cut out all of the portraits and keep those consistent. There was an animation team who worked on all kinds of animations, including this gradient animation you're seeing right now. There was an organizational team who's here today. We call them the content wranglers, who helped make sure that we had all of the right links and URLs and social media accounts and imagery and portraits that were needed to make this thing come to life. There was a social team who helped create all the social media posts for Instagram, helped concept how we would launch and tease this website over the course of a few weeks before it went live. And then the copywriting team, who's also here today, who really assisted us in coming up with clever copywriting that supported Hannah's concept. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Hannah Yu. She's going to share a little bit about her ideas, how we got to this concept, and her ideas for the visuals as well.
Thanks, Sean. Hi, everyone. My name is Hannah, and I helped design the portfolio website for our 2021 class. So for this class, our aim was to really develop a concept that reflected the reality of what our students and the world had gone through that year, but at the same time exuded a sense of hopefulness and whimsy similar to last year. By last May, we had already spent over a year dealing with a global pandemic, quarantine, and countless Zoom calls. And I'm sure that many of us have felt that daily life became a bit monotonous, and some of us may have even felt at times a bit overwhelmed or hopeless about all the issues happening in the world. But we wanted to show how one of the beautiful things about art and design is this ability to imagine and build a better reality for ourselves and others through our craft. Despite everything going on, we're still able to create magic even in our homes. So as we developed the visuals for the website, our focus was to portray this intersection between the mundane and the magical. And we had initially put together some mood boards of what we were inspired by, which is what you see here. And what we ended up doing, we ended up using minimalist monoline illustrations and sort of this stark blue solid color to represent the mundane. And the magical was represented through rainbow gradients and some awesome animations that were done by Bradford and some of the students. And as part of the design process, we also had to consider how to apply this concept to promotional posts that would be used on Instagram. So Luke will be sharing more about how the team rolled this out on social media.
Hi, everyone. I'm Luke. I was part of the copywriting / social media team, along with Jamie, who's also here. Our goal with this social media campaign was to create a flow that teased this project that we had in the works without revealing too much in the beginning, so that we could really stoke excitement building up to the launch. As I said, our first few posts were purposefully vague, both in design and in content, gradually revealing more and more pieces of this puzzle as we teased the magic versus mundane concept with playful language and with compelling visuals like you see here, all created by students in the portfolio class. One of my favorite bits of copy we came up with was this phrase, 28 shades of magic, in reference to the 28 students graduating from the portfolio class, and how each of them sort of brought their own unique flavor and magic to the program and to this project. After we launched the site, we published a series of posts highlighting and celebrating each student individually and showcasing a selection of their work, with all signs pointing to the mini site to drive traffic that direction. So people could dive deeper into things and check out the students' incredible work and learn more about our program as well. So now I'd like to kick it over to Fanny and Myra to talk a bit about the role that they played in wrangling things together for this project.
Thanks, Luke. I'm Fanny, and Myra also worked on the content wrangling team. Myra's also here. So our job is maybe a little less exciting to some because there was no design involved, there was no like creation, but I would say maybe bravely that it's the most important job out of everyone here. So Myra and I were in charge of basically making sure that we got everything we needed from all of the students, from portraits that we had to literally direct because they were taken and some were selfies, and we'd be like, selfies won't work for this. So we had to like really make sure the content they were sending us was correct. We had a hero image or a primary image to use, as well as a secondary image and a vector item, which on Antonio's here, you can see the like hero is this one with his name, his portrait, his vector at the bottom, and then his secondary image. We also had to make sure that names were spelled correctly. We had the correct links that were updated for websites and any social media that they wanted to link to as well. We had a huge spreadsheet of like, yes, no, missing, looking for this, need a replacement, too many options, all kinds of stuff. But it was a really fun part of the team, and like it was a really nice way to kind of tease, even for just me, and I'm assuming Myra too, to be able to like snapshot everyone's work at once. So it was really cool to see it be translated into the website. And then Bradford will tell you all about that.
Thanks, Vinny. And yeah, I think I agree with you that your job was definitely the hardest, you and Myra, and maybe the most important also. And yeah, really excited to show you guys the final result. We think Hannah did just an amazing job translating her vision and her inspiration to a final stunning portfolio mini site. One of our philosophies with websites is that it's a moving medium. So we want a lot of animations, we want a lot of motion, we want a lot of interactions. So I love how she crafted this illustration using line work, showing the cross section of a house, demonstrating this kind of mundane setting, you know, that we've all been stuck in front of our computers at home, but incorporating a lot of opportunities for the magic to emerge. So a lot of opportunities for motion. We love all the little details, like how the window shutters follow the mouse, or how the vector sun is interactable and you can click on it and change it to like a square corner. Or the Pantone swatches that have really fun names that were written by Jamie and Luke, like I'm Just Peachy, Quarantine Blues, and Pink Void. And then of course we've got the spinning wheel of death, an unfortunate part of everyone's reality as a designer, the staircase that kind of builds itself, the subtly moving leaves, the giant pen tool icon, and then of course the bubbling bathtub, which you can also click on. So shout out to Hannah for just creating such an incredible, fun website. We've gotten so much great feedback on this. And for me, as someone who helped develop this, I really appreciate the fact that this concept of all these rooms is able to so easily translate to mobile. They all just kind of stack on top of each other. So all the animations and interactions still work in all screen sizes, which is just awesome. So shout out again to Hannah. Underneath that introduction section, we've got a list of all the graduates. These are links. You can click on them to go down to the individual student sections where they're showcasing their work. And then underneath that, we've given each student a little space to showcase their work. There's also, of course, links to their portfolio website and their social media. And then one of the great challenges that some of the other people have already talked about is the portraits. And we love these portraits. It's such a great solution because we weren't able to access our photo studios. So how are we going to create a unified set of portraits? Well, I love Hannah's solution of applying this color treatment, cutting them out of their background. That way, along with Fanny and Myra's keen eye and elimination of terrible selfies, we're able to get a really stunning unified set of images like this one. And I love the students that really expressed their personality, like Brooke eating the noodles. That's really awesome. And then in each individual student's section, they get a primary image, like Fanny said, a secondary image, and a vector image. We encourage them to include a lot of motion, like Myra did here. So I'm just going to scroll through this, and I'm also going to post this link in chat. I would love if you guys would take some time to take a look, not just at this site, but also to click in and look at some of the beautiful work from our graduates. We just had a stunning, class of talented people, and we're so proud of them for making it through a very, very challenging year. One other thing I'll say about this site is it's an incredible way for us to connect students to potential employment opportunities. We always get people reaching out to us saying, hey, we're looking for talent. Who do you have available? And we can just send them over to the site and say, look, you can explore for yourself. It's all there and their capabilities are really clear. So it's been a great tool for us, and we're so excited to carry this tradition on into the future. Thank you, Sean, for posting that link. Okay, so that's the site. I want to jump back and talk for just a little bit about the technical side of this, because we get so many questions and comments about what platform did you use, how did you do the animations, how did you code it, etc. Okay, so I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about that. And I wanted to start with this amazing contemporary image of the internet. And I think I found this just by searching internet. And by the way, I paid for this image. I decided to leave the Dreamtime watermark in there because I think it actually makes the image better. Somehow it's a little bit better with that watermark included. But I put this in here because I feel like this is all how we want to interact with the web, right? We all want to be this kind of like master of the internet. We're making moves, we're making phone calls, and our ideas get translated directly into an amazing website. This is what we want. But the unfortunate reality of website projects, for anyone who's ever done one, is they're really challenging. There's all these technical hurdles that have to be overcome. There's budgets, there's timelines. The developers get angry about this or whatever. There's all kinds of problems that emerge. And I think a gap that has always existed in the website space is this massive gap between coded websites that are completely custom, where you work with a development team and they basically do whatever you want, and then template websites where you work with a pre-coded sort of structure and just embed your own content into that structure. And the problem with template websites is they end up being a little bit generic. You don't really have the ability to customize a story that's, you know, custom to what you're trying to say. And with coded websites, they end up being really expensive. And us as a small team, as a group that likes to be a little bit scrappy and sort of put things together ourselves on short timelines, we don't really have the ability to work with development teams too early. So we really want to be here, okay? And I think a lot of you guys want to be here also. You want the ability to create something that feels custom, but is a little bit easier to do than working with the development team. And one of the problems to getting there is the fact that websites don't exactly work how we want them to work. We all want to just design some kind of layout and, pick your favorite layout program. We want it to just translate directly to a website. But unfortunately, not the way it works. Websites are more complex than that. There's a whole host of issues that arise. For instance, just the simple fact that we don't know what type of device or what type of screen size the user is going to visit the website on. So there's a lot of external factors that are outside of our control. I always like to say websites work a little bit like Microsoft Word. Okay, and for anyone who's ever tried to make a layout in Microsoft Word, you know the pain of like inserting an image and all your content sort of shuffles around. We all know that pain. But it's actually pretty true that Microsoft Word is a little bit like the web, because Microsoft Word works kind of like HTML. So basically, there's a lot of challenges to getting the type of platform that can really bridge that gap that I'm talking about. And there's been some good attempts out there like Wix, but I personally do not like Wix. Sorry if there's any Wix people out there, but I think Wix is clunky. I think that it leads to kind of hacky results. And Wix it's not even mobile responsive. There's a mobile version and there's a desktop version that you build separately, and it kind of like, sends you to the right version depending on what kind of device you're on, but it's not really responsive and it's not really optimized for a bunch of different devices. So no to Wix, it doesn't work for us. We're really excited about a whole generation of new tools called no code. Okay, they're called no-code tools, or sometimes hashtag no-code or team no-code. And the reason we love these is because they give you the ability to be a developer, but make development decisions through an interface. So you're working visually. Okay, so you're basically doing development work, but you're not getting out the text editor and writing code from scratch. You don't have to worry about syntax. You can just go in there and kind of make decisions. And that's been a big game changer for us. The one that we use is called Webflow, which is incredible. We actually started teaching a course at our campus about Webflow, and a lot of our portfolio websites use Webflow because it's so powerful. And like I said, you get to go in there and make development decisions, but you do it with an understanding and a sensitivity to the way that websites are intended to work. So you're really acting as a developer. So it's really great, and it leads to really excellent results that feel like they were written by an actual development team. So I encourage you to check out Webflow. You might even look into my class. I'll put my email address down in a second in case you guys are interested. But there's a whole bunch of other tools out there that are similar to this that are emerging in the no code space. I put Editor X in here because it's from Wix, and I wanted to give a shout out to Wix since I've been, dissing them so hard. But there's a bunch of others out there that you guys can explore. Webflow is the one that we love. I love to hear what tools you guys are using. And if there's any particular technologies that are allowing you guys to create really amazing storytelling content on the web, I want to hear about that. The last thing I want to talk about is a new file format called Lottie that we're really excited about. It's actually kind of a side project that came from Airbnb design, but it allows you to translate motion graphics directly to websites in a really easy way. I mean, we've always been able to export videos, but there's tons of constraints with videos. They're really big files. With Lottie, you can take things directly from After Effects, which is the way we want to build motion graphics anyways, and export them to a vectorized moving file format that works on the web. And it also works in Android and iOS natively. It's really great. And the other great thing about Lottie is it allows you to connect interactions to the motion. So, things like that, the window shutters that follow the mouse, that's because the playback is tied to an interaction that we've sort of developed in Webflow. So it's really, really great. And another tool that, is worth investigating. So if any of you guys are out there looking to get into this kind of storytelling work through the web, definitely shoot me an email. I'd love to at least point you in the right direction and, have a little conversation about what you're trying to accomplish. All right, Sean, take it away.
So that gives you some background on what we did here. But I thought, some of you might be sitting there, maybe you don't run a campus, you don't run a school, maybe you're wondering a little bit of how this would translate for you. And I think we learned a lot of things. And I think there's a lot of transferable learning points that could be taken away from this. And I think the first one is really about telling honest and compelling stories. I think that's something that we learned right off the bat. That I think what was so attractive about the 2020 and the 2021 mini sites were that they weren't sugarcoated. We were really honest about that story and the challenges that happened. And of course, we told them in positive ways and found ways to spin those. But I think telling honest stories, telling compelling stories, I think was a big takeaway for us and something that we will stick to as we work on building these mini sites for years to come. I think another thing that we learned was building websites that engage and inspire. I know this doesn't apply to maybe a lot of client work. Sometimes that's not always possible, but I think maybe there's things you work on internally. Maybe you want to do a year in review website for your firm or a way to highlight important projects or milestones. And I think looking at the web as a medium that can be a little bit more playful, that can do things that are a little bit unusual, I think it's something that's really important to think about and something that we really allow to drive this process now. Because I think one of the successes of getting traffic to these sites and getting noticed was really doing things differently. And I think a lot of that was focusing on this idea of how do we engage and inspire our audience, which, lucky enough for us are mostly creative professionals. I think another thing we learned was to celebrate your successes and to share them. I think so often it's something we forget to do. I think for a lot of us that are creative professionals, sometimes the work for you gets to the bottom of that list. And I think it's a challenge that before I taught and I worked in design firms was always an issue. How do we update our own portfolio site? How do we make time for us? But I think it's so important to our growth. And I think sometimes that work can be the most important work that we do, right? So I encourage everyone to really celebrate those successes and find ways to share them. The other thing we learned is that being your own client is challenging. It's really hard, but it's also fun. We tried to put as many constraints on this project as we could. We tried to really find ways to create a box that we needed to work within so that we had clear goals of what we wanted to do, but also the freedom to create something that was really fun, that we enjoyed working on. And I think we hit a great balance with this because I can tell you that we're already thinking about that 2022 website that will launch in June and how can we outdo ourselves again? Because at the end of the day, what I encourage you to do is really go out and tell your story, right? How can you do that? And how can you do it in a compelling way that will engage people and inspire people? Because I think we were even surprised by the reactions that we got to this process. And it's something that we're very humbled by and very proud of, because at the end of the day, this is really about our students and supporting them and helping them find opportunities which involves us promoting them so they can connect to industry and take that next step. So that's really it from us today. We'll take some questions in chat or in the Q&A. I'm happy to answer them. We can get as specific as you'd like. We also have a link here to our website. We run a website specific to our program as well, sdcc.gd. And our Instagram is there as well. We're very active on Instagram. If you want to see some behind the scenes or check out the posts that we made, you can kind of see how we've done this and rolled it out through social media through that Instagram account. I'd also like to take a moment to really thank San Diego Design Week for having us here, for allowing us to share this story, specifically to Patricia Quay, Susan Merritt, Stacy Kelly, for all of the work they did to help get this off the ground and create this inspiring design week. To Joey, who's here behind the scenes, who helped us run this session and the practice sessions, but also really to our students. And that's the 4 of 5 of them that are here today, but also all of our students. You know, our students inspire us on a daily basis. This is why we do what we do. It's why we work as hard as we do to create the kinds of websites and the kind of work that we showed today. And none of this really would have happened without the pushing of our students to encourage us to work harder, work smarter, and really create better ways to promote our students and our program. So with that, we'll wrap it up. But again, if anyone has any questions, we're more than happy to answer them. So we'll stick around. You can put those in chat or in the Q&A. But thanks so much for being here. We appreciate all of your time today. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for the kudos in chat. We don't have any questions so far, and that's okay. But if you do have any, please let us know. We're happy to answer them. Thank you. For anyone leaving too, be sure to check out some of the other great events. There's some awesome ones coming up tonight and tomorrow and into Sunday. So I really encourage people to get involved with some of the amazing programming that Design Week has set up.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Let's see, so someone asked, can anyone enroll in the portfolio class? Or is it just people that went through the graphic design program? The portfolio class is a course that we really offer to students who have completed our entire program. So we could chat about it. We're happy to have a conversation, but for the most part, just because there's such a high demand for that class, we like to limit it to those students. But please know that a lot of our courses where you can build work to go in a portfolio are fairly open access. So that's something we could talk about as well. We'd love to support you, and it's a part of our mission really as an open access institution. Sandra in the Q&A asked, I've taken some of San Diego City College's classes and loved them. I work a 9-to-5 and want to take more. Any asynchronous programs in the future? It's definitely something on our radar, Sandra. It's definitely difficult for us. I do think we will probably not see very many more asynchronous classes, but we are really trying to create a pathway for students who want to complete our program and need to take classes at night. So that's on our radar as we work on scheduling courses. We'd love to have a pathway for those of you who work to come in the evenings to take courses. But historically, we've had a really tough time running our advanced and intermediate courses asynchronously. It's just very difficult for us to get the high quality of work that you saw here today without that synchronous component. So for us, we want to support our students, but it's also really important that we keep the quality as high as possible. Someone else also talked about Divi. I've used Divi as well. I find it to be a really great tool. It's one of my personal favorite WordPress themes, but I will say that we are really smitten with Webflow. It's just an amazing tool. The possibilities are endless. I think there's a little bit of a steeper learning curve at the beginning, but I think the payoff is amazing. And the new website that's being shown here, this animation, is also built in Webflow. So, we don't work for Webflow, no kickbacks here for us, but we've really drank the Kool-Aid and we think it's just an amazing platform that we're really proud of. Teresa asked a little bit, what's the involvement in the greater San Diego design community at City? Well, like I said, we're pretty vocationally focused. So we work with a pretty high-powered advisory board that advises our program, make sure that what we're doing is really top-notch and what they want to see when they hire our graduates. We're also really active in AIGA. We've been involved with that organization for decades. I also serve as an advisor to Design Week. I also work a lot with the One Club. So all of us as faculty members are really committed to being involved with the design industry as a whole, because we know that's not only important to our professional development and our growth as educators, but also to us being able to connect students to where they need to be. Will class be on campus next year? We're not sure at this point. You know, if I had a crystal ball, I would love to tell you the answer, but at this point, we are not sure. I'm thinking that some classes will be offered on campus this coming spring, but I think that's definitely a wait and see depending on what happens with the different variants of COVID. Any other questions, or did I miss any? Awesome. Well, I think we'll cut it there then. We are ending a little bit early, but that was really our goal. We wanted to leave plenty of time to answer questions, but we so appreciate your time listening to our story, and hopefully we inspired you to go out and create something that really tells an honest and compelling story for whatever organization you're a part of.
Bye, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.